Hello everyone, so I'm here today to do a review of a proof that I got from Netgalley, so thank you for that proof to Netgalley and the publishers. And that is Savage Tongues by Azareen Vliet Oloomi. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Yeah, this book is basically about this woman that remains mostly unnamed. She's from a mixed background. Her mother was Iranian and her father was British, and I think she grew up between Iran, Spain, and the US, I think. And yeah, so there is that element of identity, but the book does not focus on that. It focuses mainly on her relationship with Omar when she was younger. So the book starts with her going back to Spain and remembering that relationship that she had with Omar when she was 17, and he was much older than she was, and he was emotionally abusive to her. So it has so much to pack into that story. It's a very character-driven story, and very ideas driven more than plot. There is not that much plot. But yeah, we follow her struggle with her identity, the fact that she's not really from anywhere, but she's from everywhere at the same time. And I particularly enjoyed the fact that she talks about Spanish things as well. It was nostalgic for me, obviously. Things like El Corte Inglés, which is a big department store, or certain traditions or certain customs like having a coffee after lunch or whatever, that kind of thing. It was very reminiscent of Spanish life, and I think she does live partly in Spain, so that explains why she would know about this kind of environment. But that also the fact that the way that she explained her identity was not judgmental. She was like, yeah, I'm just from everywhere, and many of the characters in the story are from many different places. And I think that multiculturality that is portrayed fits very well with the current way that we live. I mean, I live in a country I was not born in, with a husband that is also not from this country or the country I'm from. We speak different language on a daily basis from what the country we live in speaks, and it's just all a big mush of things. And every time I meet someone new and they tell me, where are you from? I don't know what to answer. And that kind of feeling, I think, is very well represented in the character that we follow, because she's also kind of not from anywhere but from everywhere at the same time. And yeah, I like that, especially because I think often we like to put people in boxes, and some people just don't fit those boxes. We like to put people in boxes in terms of race, and we like to put people in boxes in terms of nationality and religion, and sometimes people are from several countries, have several races, um, and I think that this book really portrays that struggle of being from many different places really well. But not only that, also the fact that we are not always at ease in some of our identities, like the fact that um, I'm Spanish, for example, doesn't mean that I fit all the stereotypes of Spain. Like, there's a reason why I left, right? So she also speaks about that that fact that you might not be comfortable with all of the identities you have, or any of the identities you have, and how they are portrayed and what people expect from you depending on those identities. And the other thing that obviously this book really dips into is abusive relationships. So, as I said, this starts with her going back to Spain and reminiscing of the relationship she had with this man, Omar, um, in Spain. And Omar is from Palestine, which also adds that extra layer. He was abusive in a way that is also not the stereotypical way that we like to think about abuse women, especially when they are younger. And she says this in the book very clearly, like, yeah, she was 17, but she hates when people refer to the whole issue as, oh, forget about it, you were 17, you were silly, and you did a mistake. And she doesn't see that way. And even though when the story is actually being narrated, she has moved on and she has a husband that she loves, and she recognizes the fact that that relationship broke her. She also longs for Omar. She also loved him, and she wanted to be with him, and she still desires him. It's not that clear cut. It's not that simple. That say you were 17, you made a mistake, and now you are trying to repair, and you recognize that that was wrong, and therefore you never want that again. It's not like that. She was 17. She did have a conscience, and she did have a say on the matter, even though if the power dynamics were not the same on both sides. And she recognizes that it was abusive and it was not healthy for her. And also it questions herself on how much of this relationship affects her own identity. I would say to her then that I had at times suspected myself of perpetuating violence against my own body. My relationship with Omar had bloomed in a place where Muslim life existed as a concealed reality, visible only in traces in the landscape, the architecture, the food, the tone, inflections of the Spanish South. Muslims and Jewish life, I told her, had been purposefully suppressed by the Spanish National Project. The very ground beneath my feet had been primed for centuries to annihilate my body. That energy is real, I said to her. Our bodies detect this negative charge. If we are not careful, like, it can overpower us, turn us against ourselves in a fit of rage. I told her that for that reason, and many others, not least among them my brother's near death at the hands of a skinhead, I'd willingly participated in my own destruction. I think it was also very smart to set this up in the Spanish South, and especially because, well, she lands in Marbella and then she moves around in Malaga and Granada and Cordoba, and I think that was very smart because Spain's history is not what most people associate immediately with Spain. Is not as much discussed in the popular culture, but the south of Spain was part of the Muslim um, republic or the Muslim community. Like, it was a Muslim country, Al-Andalus, from 711 until 1492. That's more than 700 years. And if you think about it, from 1492 until now, it's less than 700 years, which means that the south of Spain has been Christian less than it has been Muslim. And there is a whole mix of cultures in the south of Spain, of those that Muslim religion and that Muslim community with the Christian one that is currently the most notable one. Also, people that come from north of Africa, and there was also a big Jewish community there for a while in 1492, where they were basically kicked out. Um, but yeah, it is a very multicultural place in essence, and you can feel that in the way the architecture looks and the way that the people talk as well. There are a lot of words in Spanish that come from Arabic because of that influence. So I think that it was a very smart way to portray that multiculturality, that it's also within her person in that bigger scenario of the Spanish South. And yeah, I thought that overall the story was very powerful. The way it was told was also beautiful. The language, I found it beautiful and very reflective, and it punches so much about the complex and multicultural way that we live now, without making it the main the main story, because the main story is that love story between Omar and the main protagonist that is toxic, but it's also very addictive in the way that toxic things sometimes are. Um, and I think it makes a great job of portraying that complexity as well. So yeah, I think that it was a great read for me, and yeah, I'm looking forward to reading more from this author. I think she has another 2 books, so maybe I'll check those out. But this one, for anyone interested, is coming out in August, and yeah, I would recommend it. It's a great book, and I thought it was something very different from what I normally see in these discussions. These discussions are normally so black and white, and this one was full of complexities that are worth discussing as well. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have heard anything about this book, if you have read anything from this author, and if you're interested in this book. And until next video, bye!